Well, hello and welcome to the Well After Hours. I'm your host, Beverly Allen, and today our conversation is centering around a soldier's service journey and return home. And to help me have this conversation is my very special guest, Mrs. Jennifer Fleming. Jennifer, welcome to the Well. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This is such a great, I've been looking forward to this conversation because when I originally called you or approached you about having this conversation about your military experience, as a young woman, growing in faith, I found out that there was a much broader story to all of this, and we're going to try to compact it all in. And I want to do it in three stages. I want to start with first, before your enlistment into the military. Then the second stage will be during your enlistment in the military. And then the third will be after your enlistment in the military. And, but before we begin all that, would you just kind of briefly introduce yourself to the viewers?
Sure. I'm Jennifer Fleming. I am the wife to Joseph Fleming, and we have five sons from 32 till our youngest is 20. Our youngest is Justin, who we adopted. He's our nephew. We adopted him. And so he's just added to the family hug here. And I work at National Park Service now. I am a purchaser, a housing manager, a fleet manager. I do budget and I do human resource types of things. I was in the military before the National Park Service and a farmer before that. Also, I'm on the Board of Education here in Linden, and that is very educational. I love it.
That is so awesome. I tell you, your service just has no end. You just keep on serving, which is such a wonderful, a thing for other people have benefited so much from your service. But, what most people, when they enlist in the service, they do it for a multiple number of reasons. Some are for because they have educational opportunities, and some want to travel to see the world, experience other cultures and places, and some people want a more structured life. There's a multiple listing of reasons why they go into service, but your reason for enlisting in the service was very different. And I guess we really have to start at why you chose the choices you made from your early childhood briefly, like just a kind of a time frame on that. Can we start there and you just kind of tell us like how you really got to the different circumstances to get to the service?
Sure, I'll try to make this compact. I'll try to compact this. It's a lot.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
So the three stages. So I'm just going to work on the first stage. So
Yeah, that's the first. Mhm.
I was taken from my family through violence. So my mom and dad fought all the time, and I had to go to a foster home. So my very first memory was my mother and my father driving me to this home, and they left me, and I just sat in front of the dishwasher and I just cried. I must have been one and a half, and I just would cry for my mom to not leave me, but they didn't come back to get me. So I went to foster home, and I wound up at Peggy's, which I consider, she's my mom. She took care of me. She carried me on her hips. She loved me. I was 4 years old when I got there. She is such a great woman. I can't say that enough. She took me to church every week. She watched out for me. She looked out for me. She loved me. And she taught me how to love other people. I give all the credit to her for who I am today. I had been through a lot in that short period of time, through molestation, which usually happens in foster care, violence. I was left at 2 years old to climb over a fence to get home or the other kids had brought me into this abandoned lot, and I just scraped my thighs up on the barbed wire fence, and I got home to my then mother, foster mother, and she, bandaged me up and everything. And I've just been through so much. I broke my arm and my leg before I ever turned 3, so nobody was watching me. I was abused. I was adopted finally at 7 years old. And Peggy was very upset because she didn't want to lose me. And she wanted to adopt me, but her husband at the time didn't want to adopt a girl. They had 3 boys already. So he wanted another boy. She wanted a girl. We looked so similar, and she loved me so much. And so I went to my new family, who, of course, I was too young at the time to know, but they were racist and abusive. My mother would stand me in the corner with my arms in the air from 6 a.m. until 10 o'clock at night. She would scold me. She would burn me. She would beat me, literally stomp me into the ground. She would spray me off outside in the hose if I wet the bed. She didn't allow me to have sheets. So of course I was cold. And when you're cold and you're little at 7, you're going to wet the bed. So it was I'm just going to stop right there because there's a lot, but it was a very abusive, there was no love in that home. And I found a companion when I was 11. He lived next door to me, and he was Black. And he just adored me. He just loved me so much. And I, not knowing love, was very attracted to this. I liked that somebody liked me, or that somebody loved me. And I stayed with him for the next 25 years. That was also abusive. So, it just went from one abuse to another. So I have learned that people need love. They need those big hugs. They need to know that they're cared for. And I'm sorry.
That's all right.
They need to know that they're cared for and loved, and that they are a gift to the world that they live in. So I try to do that now because of that past. So even though that was really bad, it did make me into the person that I am now.
Yeah. And the reason why I thought that was so important, that portion to share, is because, going through all that shapes your thinking. I mean, like you said, it's just automatic and natural when you have not had love or anyone, making you feel loved, invaluable, even if they don't really love you, if they make you feel that you're loved, and maybe that's just the best kind of love that they can give. Some people are incapable of loving someone tenderly, affectionately, and protectively, and so they gave what they gave. But that would automatically kind of make you gravitate to someone like that. Anybody, that's shown love will respond in like manner. So
right.
It explains how you got into, the relationship. And so, so then from there, with him, you can share some of that.
My first husband was the strongest guy in the city. He was the only Black guy in the city as well. He was a boxer, and he at first he was really, really nice. He loves me. We're gonna make it on our own until the very end, the childhood dreams, and I got pregnant very early. I had my first son at 15. Once I had my first son, he became very violent. And he would beat me. and he would cheat on me and everything that you can imagine. You know, he would sleep with other people and just come home and crawl in bed with me like nothing, you know, like it was normal. Um, it became so hard and destroyed my soul that I really did just want to die. I didn't want to be in that relationship or in the world. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I laid into bed for a number of days, just sick, just wanted to die. And something hit me. Something just grabbed a hold of me and said, get up, get in the car, go for a drive. And I got up and went for a drive, and I prayed so hard to take me away from this place. And I heard God speak to me, and he said, go to the military, go sign up, go to the army. And I went home from that. Look, I'm crying already. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
And I went home immediately, and I spoke to my husband. At the time, he wasn't my husband. I didn't want to marry him. Yeah. I just couldn't leave. I didn't have the capability of being on my own. I tried so many times, and I ended up going back because, you know, I was a day late on my rent in California. If you're a day late on your rent, you're evicted. It's not like New Jersey at all. So I went.
And you were so young. And you were so young.
I was so young. I had 3 children. I was going to college. I was working 2 jobs. I was taking the city bus. It just didn't work out for me. It was just too much. Yes. It was so hard. And so I felt trapped. I had to stay there. His father, his mother, the whole town would watch him beat me, and nobody did anything. Nobody helped me. And I had to help myself. There was no one to turn to. And so I went home after I had prayed, and I went home and I said, Anthony, I want to go to the army. And he laughed and he said, okay. And I walked out the door and I went and signed up, and I told them, please take me now. 2 weeks later, I was gone. And come to find out later that he only allowed me to go because he didn't think I could make it. I was 32 years old, a mother of 3, and I was in the army with 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, you know, young kids like our kids now. And it was difficult, but he didn't think I could make it, but I made it. I made it.
Because he had beaten you down for so long. By the time you got to the military at that age, I mean, you know, that was the only hope of seeing something that could call you into something, you know, and it was the government. What could he do once you sign up with the government, you know?
Right. Yes. And, you know, it's amazing how when I prayed, I didn't even think twice. It was like somebody had taken control of my mind, my body, and my spirit. And I went happily into a scary, you know, I was very vulnerable out there, you know, in the military as a 32-year-old woman. But I wasn't scared, though. I wasn't scared at all. I knew that's where I was supposed to be. I knew I had to get stronger so that I could protect myself and my children. And when I was there, even the people there were like, somebody's not going to make it. You know, they would tease me. And you know what? Because I was a farmer, I could walk through sand in milk boots for long periods of time because I raised pigs and they got out, and I would have to chase them through the fields, which it made me very great. And I was in the front of the line the whole time because I knew how to walk through sand. I was in the desert, and when it came time to shoot, it was so great. I love to shoot because I'm a farmer and I'm used to shooting. We have target practice when the kids turn 8. They got their first gun, they got their first, it was a BB gun, but they got their first gun, and we would sit and shoot nickels off the fence. So I was a very good aim.
Well, you had good training.
all of these things that I had been through in my life that I thought was too much actually turned out to prepare me for greatness in the future. And I was the only one out of my whole company to finish shooting in 2 rounds. And I only took 2 rounds because they make you do it twice to see if it was just lucky or not. So I shot it 3 times in the middle, done. And they were like, oh my God. And they put it up again, and I did it again. And they were like, get out of here, Jonesy. They called me Jonesy. So, all of these things, really did help me do great things later when I needed it.
Wow. That is amazing. And you know what? While we're at this point, speaking about the military, I want to just take a break to share some scenes of your military service that when you were deployed over into Kuwait, and it'll kind of go into the last stage, but at least I'll get a view. So while we're talking about these next 2 stages, they'll understand. Okay. So viewers, don't go away. I'm just going to give you some insight into Jennifer's military experiences, and we'll be right back. Well, I know you all enjoyed that glimpse into Jennifer's military experience, and we're going to continue with our conversation. But, we were in the midst of talking about how, the Lord, got you into the military. You were in the U.S. Army Reserves. You were a human resource specialist. In fact, your title was Specialist Jones, right?
Yes, it was.
Right, yeah. And from California,
yes,
you went on to be deployed abroad. Yeah. You can tell us a little bit about that experience.
Sure. So I would like to back up a little bit because it's very important. Before I got deployed, after I had already been through basic training, I came home to the farm.
Wow.
And my then husband, because I had to marry him at this point. I'd never wanted to marry him because he was abusive,
Yes.
but the military made me marry him or give up full custody of my children.
Wow.
Because you have to have a family readiness plan before you get deployed. So
that's an important point. Wow.
it really is.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
So we went to City Hall. It took 30 minutes. We tied the knot because no way would I give up my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was then married. So, but before I got deployed, my husband, beat me up really, really bad. And he stabbed me in the neck, and he beat my face so bad that I had black eyes and a knot, looked like half of a softball on my head. When I called my commander and I told him that I was too embarrassed to come in with everybody else, he told me to come in through the week. And he was destroyed by looking at me. And he started gathering some, I won't tell you his name because he started gathering some other soldiers, big men, army men. And they were on their way to my house to set my ex-husband straight. And I begged them not to because I knew that we were getting deployed. I needed him to take care of the kids.
Yes.
I had no choice. My mom could not take care of the kids. She's been sick since she's been 35 or so with diabetes and pancreatitis. She has had some major medical issues, and I had nobody else. I was alone. So I left my kids with their father when I got deployed, which is a very sad and heartbreaking story in its own. When I got deployed, I hadn't even left the United States yet. As soon as I walked out and went to Washington, he had already, left the children alone in the home. He got a girlfriend. He got on drugs. He was drinking. He was an alcoholic. The kids would call me and say, Dad isn't home. And it's 2:00 in the morning, and I knew that even though that it was heartbreaking, even though I knew he had a girlfriend, I still sent all my money home because I needed him to feed the kids. That was my only concern, was that they were fed. I knew they could take care of themselves as long as they were fed. And so I sent $4,000 a month home every single month. And I didn't have money over there. I didn't, I didn't spend on anything. I ate there. I ate the DFAC food, and he didn't take care of the children. He didn't feed them. He fed them like once a day, but they were so hungry, and it breaks my heart that, I left my kids with their dad and they were starving, and I was all the way across the world and I couldn't do anything. There was nothing I could do. And as soon as he found out that I knew, he cut communication. So now I'm in Kuwait. I'm still sending all my money home. I can't speak to my children or him. And there's nothing I can do except continue to work and send my money home and try to be good enough to complete all my duties and tasks with my heart broken, in the desert at 130-degree heat. So, when you open the oven, when you preheat the oven and you open that oven and you get that woof in your face of that heat, that's what it's like in Kuwait. So, and they burn gas, fuel, they have the big fuel refinery things where
Yes.
they're burning it
Yes.
all the time and you're breathing that. And, they're burning garbage all the time and you're breathing that. So you have the heat with the dust storms. In pure daylight, you could see everything clearly, and in a moment a dust storm would come and it would look like it was midnight. It would turn just pitch black.
Wow.
And so those were the conditions that I endured, while being in the military, along with some other ridiculous the people from Kuwait. They were very nice, I must tell you. They worked for $1 a day. The women would come in to clean the bathrooms, and I would leave them some dollars on the side. We weren't allowed to talk to them for security reasons, but my mom taught me better. Even though I was in the military, it was my teachings that were combating with my duties. I couldn't watch, inhumane things go on around me, and I still can't. It's very difficult for me. So I started a shoe program because the women there would wear size like 10 men's shoes, and the bottoms would be torn off, and they would soak the bathroom floors to wash it and then squeegee it out. And so their feet were wet all day long, and they would get up at 3 a.m. to catch a bus to get to our base at, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, so that they can work for $1 a day. And so I left things like lotions and shampoos and, shoes. Me and the girls, we just piled in a whole bunch of shoes and would leave them in the bathroom so that they could have new shoes. And they began to know that, oh, somebody cares about me, right? And they would come up to me and say, I need a pair of shoes, and I would go and rally up and get these shoes for these people who didn't have anywhere near what we take for granted on a daily basis. We have transportation, we have food. These people have children and they're making $1 a day. It just blows my mind. So besides that, my life in the military,
that's part of it.
yes, it is. I went through I was the suicide prevention for the military. And I didn't just do suicide prevention for our company. I did suicide prevention for all of our whole FOB. So there was a lot of battalions, there was a lot of companies that were there that would come to me and tell me things that were just horrendous. For example, I had a woman come to me and tell me that her commander had raped her. Not her commander, I'm sorry. Her sergeant that she works with every day had raped her, and she still had to work with him every day. So, a couple weeks of that, and she was wanting to kill herself. Oh. And so she came to me and she told me what was going on. And, you try to sit there and give counsel and, give that care and that love and that compassion and that ear, because that's what people need, is to be listened to, and I took her to, our chaplain, who is a great big guy, and he took care of her from there. He took her out of that unit and helped her. But she's not my only one. I had a lot of people come to seek counsel. You hear it all the time. 22 soldiers kill themselves every day. It's a heart-wrenching, it's a difficult thing for one to be away from your family for an entire year. 400 days you're away, and your family goes on without you while you're stuck in a desert on pause, waiting to come home and make sure that everything's okay. And everything is not okay most of the time. There's only a small percentage where you go home and it's okay. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's very difficult,
Yeah.
difficult things. That, and along with the men who have been abstinent for a very long time, and
Yeah.
something happens. I'm sure it's the women too. I don't want to be sexist. I'm sure it is the women too. However, it wasn't me, because I was older and I've already had children. So, and I was heartbroken, so it didn't dawn on me these kinds of things. And people would come to me and show me their privates, and I was uncomfortable and not impressed. So
yeah, there was a lot of that harassment
there
kind
was
of
a
thing,
lot of
and
sexual
no one to go
harassment.
to report it to that could really do anything. And that goes on a lot. We hear about that even now.
Even now.
Even now. So
I had a commander meet me in the laundry room and proposed to me. Yes. And I was just floored. He's a commander. You're supposed to be able to depend on him. You're supposed to be able to count on the ranks that are higher than you, along with your battle buddies who are the same rank as you. You're supposed to be a family. And that wasn't the case most of the time. So
under all of that kind of duress and trauma,
yeah,
what was your faith going through?
I went to church every Sunday. As soon as I stepped out of the door on my ranch that I left, I went to church every Sunday. I knew that this was my path, that when I prayed, I really did feel the hand of God. I really did hear him say,
yes,
it's going to be tough and you're going to do great. And I went head first right in there. And I was with the chaplain every day.
wow.
And was in church with him. And he taught me some really great things every week. So I was lucky, because if you go to church in the military, you get a half a day off.
Wow.
So there
a reward. Oh my goodness.
It's a reward, but you're being rewarded without really noticing. Like people who don't really go to church, and they're like, and they say, they want a half a day off, so they go to church. That's okay, because you're sitting in the church. That's okay. I think it's a great thing.
It is.
No matter why. It's a win-win,
Yeah.
So, but I loved the church and stayed in the church faithfully the entire time.
Thank you.
And I eventually got a hold of my ex-husband about 3 months out. 3 months later, I was searching on Facebook. This is crazy, I know. I was searching on Facebook to find one of his friends so that I could get in contact with him. And his friend's name was Joseph Fleming. And it was early in the morning. And, when you're in the military, you wake up, you brush your teeth real quick, you throw on your clothes and you're out like 10 minutes and you're up and you're out. You don't have time to do anything because you already been through PT. Yeah. You have to hurry up and come back. And, we had PT in the morning and at night. We were running all the time, And so when I was looking for him in the morning, I found my Joseph Fleming that I married right now. That's how I found him. And I don't know what got into me, but I think it was God. I really, really do. Because when I saw Joe, I stopped looking for my husband. That was it. I sent his friend a message that it's okay. I'm okay with divorce. I'm definitely okay with this. I didn't want to go back home to get beat again or get whatever he got from sleeping with whoever he was,
Yeah,
with
right.
while I was gone, So
Mhm.
I was okay with the whole thing. My world brightened up when I met Joe. I sent him a message without even thinking. And I said, "You are the most beautiful man that I have ever seen." And I closed my laptop and I went on to work. And when I got there, because I walked to work, it's quite a ways, but you're in the military, so your feet are your wills. So I'm walking through the desk storm to work, and I get to my office and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, what did I do? This is not who I am. I don't talk to men. I am so conservative. So conservative. What did I just do? So the next morning after work, because I'm too busy to apologize now, So the next morning before I go to work, I messaged this man that I don't even know. I messaged him again and I said, "I am so sorry. I apologize if I have caused any problems. I don't, chat with men. That's not who I am. And please forgive me, And he texted me or messaged me back the next day and said, and he laughed and he said, "That's okay. I told my work or something about, I think I have a stalker." We laughed so hard. And we talked every day since then, every single day. If it wasn't for Joe, I don't know how I would have gotten through. He helped me come to terms with my past. We talked about my childhood. We talked about my adoption. We talked about my ex-husband. We talked about the kids.
And this is all before you released, you were, actually discharged honorably at the end of the
Honorably
service time.
discharged. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
I was actually still in the military when I came here to New Jersey because
Mhm.
I asked to be transferred here.
Yes.
So I went to my commander and said, I don't want to go home with you. I want to be transferred to New Jersey. And he said, okay, no problem. He didn't want me to go home anyway.
Yeah. He knew the situation
He
and all.
knew,
Yeah.
he knew, everybody knew, and,
Wow.
they would console me while I cried. I cried for my kids a lot. Like I couldn't see the kids and it broke me. It broke my heart. And,
Especially when you're sending money home.
right. And
Everything.
people told me, don't do that. Save your money. It's not going to the kids. Save it. And I said, no, I can't do it because I need to
No.
any way I can support them.
Hmm.
And it was really good for me. It worked out. Everything works out for a reason. I believe God was watching over me from the moment I was in that bed praying. He watched me and still is looking out for me even now.
Yes.
When I got home from deployment, well, it wasn't my home. I never really went home, but when I got back from deployment, I got a letter from the welfare department, the district attorney's office, that I needed to pay child support for the year that I was gone. And I was surprised, of course. And I told them that I had been sending my money home. I had been paying child support. I mean, on my own. I didn't need anybody to tell me that.
Yeah.
And they said, show me proof. Thank God. thank God that I sent this man a check every month
Oh,
on my bank statement that shows that I sent all my money home. He had went and signed up for welfare. He was getting money. He was getting food stamps. He was getting medical insurance. And he was getting $4,000 a month from me. And he wasn't feeding the kids. He wasn't taking care of my kids. So he got in trouble. He had welfare fraud. And, I got to go home and take my kids and leave the farm. We packed the car. I told my kids before I came, I said, listen, we're going to go to New Jersey. It's going to be better. It's going to be okay. Whatever you can fit into a backpack, whatever you really treasure, please have it ready. And they had it ready. And we drove from California to New Jersey in 3 days.
What?
I was military, so I'm a great driver, and I was hauling all the way through. We stopped at a hotel every night, and we got like 7 hours sleep, and off we would go again, so, and we got here safely. Yeah. Well, I did come here and check it out before I brought the kids, I must say.
Yeah, well, like a good mother. Yeah.
Well, I had to, yeah, right. Even though I really, truly did love Joe and his mom, I was talking to his mom. I was talking to Joe. I was buying them a pizza, and then, my very last check from the military, I bought Joe a washer and dryer instead of sending my money home. And it's amazing because I still use that washer and dryer. No.
After all this time, it's still going strong. That's awesome. Oh my
God. So I checked it all out, and then I went back, and then I grabbed the kids and I drove them here in my car that had been sitting there waiting. He had beat my car up. He didn't want me to leave. He set it on fire. He beat it up. But when I got home, he had fixed it because he thought I would stay. No, I went to a coffee shop with his mother and him, and we made an agreement that he would give me full custody of the children, and I would leave him everything that's there, the whole farm. Just take it all. I didn't bring anything with me, my military clothes. And I told the kids, whatever we need, we'll buy there, And so he signed it. I have a napkin, where she wrote it out, and he signed it, I signed it, and she signed it. And I kept it ever since. And I have full custody of the kids. And he's now living somewhere by a river. Yeah, it's amazing how things work out.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yes.
Talk about all things being caused to work together for your good. It doesn't say that it is good, but the end result will work its way out to your good. Wow.
It's amazing how all of those hardships that I thought I was going through really did help me get through the even larger problems that I would face in the future.
Yeah. Wow.
All of them. Yep.
What a story. And now, after being discharged and everything, now you're with the National Park.
The National Park Service. It's a government entity. It's the Department of Interior. So I just stayed with the government. And I was so happy that I got this job. Kathy Fleming, my mother-in-law, she prayed for me, and I got this job. I went straight up. I had 3 jobs lined up at the same time. I had the city, what is the train station or whatever you guys have here?
Where you mean the Newark train station or the New York Port Authority kind
No,
of?
yeah, I think it was like the port. It was some kind of,
Newark was the Port Authority.
transit
Oh,
something.
the New
Yes.
Jersey Transit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
New
Okay.
Jersey Transit. Yes, New Jersey Transit. And a chocolate factory wanted me to be the manager over there and the national park all at the same time. And I told my boss, who became my boss at the Park Service, he wanted to interview me, but I was supposed to start the chocolate factory like the day before. And I said, can we interview early? And he said, I like that in you. And he hired me on the spot. Yep. And I
Wow.
love my job. So I went from the military to now working at the Park Service, doing kind of the same thing. I went and signed up for EEO. So I'm the EEO representative. I signed up for the tolerance training. I'm the train the trainer tolerance training. I, the purchaser, the hirer, I do all this human resources stuff. But, I'm only a GS5, which is like a specialist in the Army, but being a GS5, I got to do everything, the vehicle,
Wow.
the fleet supervisor, they want to pile this on. And I took every opportunity that they could throw at me. And I did everything that they asked of me and more. I cleaned the building before they even come into work, had the coffee making when they came in. I made sure that they were happy. And because I did that, my new boss, because I was just promoted, came in and he saw and he heard, and everybody, really loved me. And he took me from that right now, like probably a month ago, and made me the official housing manager and fleet manager at Staten Island. So now I work in New York for all of Gateway, the entirety of Gateway, which is Sandy Hook, New Jersey, Fort Wadsworth, Reese Park, Miller Fields, all of these housing things. But it's a great thing for me because I can be the person who gives jobs to minority people, to veterans, to women, to, the
underserved class group.
the underserved
Yeah.
class. Right.
Unrecognized often. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I really like that. There's a difference that I learned here in New Jersey. I didn't know anything before I came here, and Joe has taught me all of this. I knew about racism because my father was racist. He beat me when I was like 7 months pregnant with my first son because I was pregnant with a black baby. That's, what he says. I never went home after I got pregnant. I was emancipated at 16. So I divorced him because he was racist, and I had a biracial child. I couldn't let him harm my baby.
Exactly.
So we went and lived with my ex-husband's grandmother, who didn't even know I was pregnant at 15. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah. So I forgot. I'm sorry, I got lost.
No,
Keep me on track, Beverly.
Well, no, but no, actually, you know what? It's your story, honey. And it's great that you have an opportunity to share it. And I'm so grateful because it's blessing someone. While your story may seem a kind of solo or uncommon, it's not, it's common. There are other people, and I'm sure it will resonate and bless others to see what the Lord has done, how far God has brought you, even through all of that to this very time. And the blessing that has been at the end of it, you know what I mean? To come through that. Because people are right now in the middle of something and they're wondering, am I going to get through this? Is there even a possibility, that there's life after this, and if you don't hold on to faith, if you don't have something, someone to believe in, and then put your hope and trust in, as you did, have the Lord, to know that the Lord, thank God that you, as you said, your foster mother and things, how she kind of introduced you to that, and as your faith grew along the journey, that it wasn't extinguished, but it even grew, as the more you reached out to him. And
you know why I give all credit to my mom.
Yeah.
If he hadn't taken me to church,
That's what I was just saying. Yeah.
I wouldn't have known God.
No.
Nobody else took me to church. Well, that's not true. My adopted family took me to church for probably the first year. They were Catholic. So, I went to Catholic school, as a girl, and, but
you know what, even the Lord in that's his divine providence to get to introduce you. So you could have that to hold on to, knowing what the journey would be,
Right.
And so, because you didn't choose him, he chose you.
That's
he gave
right.
you that foster mother,
He gave
who
her
finally showed you love, and
yes. And she
far
did all the way up until she passed a couple months ago, I think. So I'm a little heartbroken about that. She was still my mom, even after I got adopted. I went back to her house and lived there because my adopted parents got divorced. So I lived with her again for a year. And when Anthony hit me the first time, after I had our first son, I went back there. My brothers came and picked me up. And we went back, home, and I tried to leave. That was my first time trying to leave, but she has always been there for me. She really has.
What a blessing. And you know what, as we wrap this up, would you tell you, maybe there's something, I'm going to ask you to close us out in prayer, but before then, is there something you might want to say, in this short time, that can encourage someone who may be listening, whether they're in the military or not in the military, but that are going through, maybe in an abusive situation or whatever situation, but that the same God that brought you through, that you cried out to, that you put your trust in,
there's,
so I'll let you do that and then pray.
There's always a way out. There is always a better way. And people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, if you're going through heartache, abuse, I went through sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. And I prayed, and I had that foundation that kept me strong enough that it got me through some of the most heartbreaking situations in my life. And it led me to the most wonderful place in my life. I am in a good place right now with a loving husband and 5 wonderful kids. They're not kids, they're young men. I already know. They told me, so I'm not a kid. But if you can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this. There are people out there who will help you, who will speak to you. There are lifelines that are willing and waiting to help. So I would suggest that you come on your knees and seriously, with your whole spirit, pray and just go with what God tells you. But you have to be open and ready. You have to be ready to make that next step in your life. That's a huge point. You have to be ready. And when you're ready, God will make a way. He will. So I hope that this helps somebody.
Yes, it does. After hearing your story and seeing you hearing and seeing, that gives hope. And that's our prayer, that this will really give someone else hope you know,
Yes.
and I believe it will. That's why the Lord had this day put aside and led us to your journey.
Whew.
That is it. And so thank you so much for coming to the well and sharing this journey. It is invaluable. I cannot thank you enough. And thank God I thank the Lord for the courage that he gave you, the boldness that he gave you, the direction that he gave you, that you followed it. Because some people would question it, and think, oh, I better do this. But, he got you out of the situation and he used different instruments to do it. And I thank God. And his ways are past finding out. You can't write God's script. He writes his own script. So I thank you for that. And I'm just going to ask you to pray, say a prayer,
Yes.
close out in Jesus' name. Amen.
In Jesus' name, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this time to spend together with
Yes.
Beverly Allen and whoever may be watching this. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to tell this story in hopes that it may help someone else out there. And please, God, if you see and know that there's somebody in trouble, please lead them to the right places in their life.
Yes.
Please, Lord, help us all to remember to be kind to one another, to have empathy and compassion for one another. We love you. We honor you. And we hope that, the world will see the works that you have done
Yes.
in each and every one of us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. What a beautiful way to close this out. Thank you so much. And viewers, I know you have been blessed. I know that this has been a really sensitive but heart-touching and yet a victorious journey.
Yes.
It's not the way you start, it's the way you finish.
Yes.
So don't despise where you may be, because you don't know what God, that's why you can never give up, because God can turn things around.
Yes.
Trust in him. So I thank you for being at the well tonight, and we'll be looking for you next week at the well, the same time, same place. And until then, God bless you and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.